Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Some people fear lions. Narcissists fear silence, especially when it comes with eye contact. Welcome to a psychological battlefield most people don't even realize exists. Because while the world's busy watching loud alpha males throw tantrums for dominance, there's another breed, silent, calculated, impossible to manipulate, that narcissists would rather not talk about. They're called sigma males. And to a narcissist, they're not just a threat. They're a full-blown existential crisis in human form. Here's a cold, brutal fact. According to psychologists, narcissists rely on emotionally reactive people to feed their egos and maintain control. But what happens when they meet someone who doesn't react at all? No praise, no protest, no participation, just unsettling calm. That's where the sigma male comes in, detached, unbothered, and unplayable. He's not interested in your validation, he doesn't dance for your attention, and he sees through manipulation like it's a children's magic trick, which honestly it is. And the narcissist? They short-circuit, like a karaoke machine in a monastery, so buckle up. Because we're about to dive deep into 12 brutally honest, savage reasons why sigma males are the one personality narcissists can't seduce, control, or survive. This isn't about social status. This is psychological warfare. And the sigma doesn't fight loud, he just wins quietly. Number 1. Sigmas. Don't get addicted to the narcissist's cycle. Most people don't realize they're being dragged into a narcissist's trap until they're already stuck in the cycle. It always starts the same. The narcissist showers you with attention, charm, and compliments. It feels magnetic, even addictive. Then, without warning, it flips. They pull back, criticize you, withdraw their affection. You try to get it back, you overthink, you chase. And that's exactly the game they want you in. That cycle of high and low, reward and punishment, it's a psychological drug and most people get hooked without knowing it. But sigma males, they don't bite. They see the setup before it even starts. The moment a narcissist tries to bait them with flattery or excessive praise, the sigma is already clocking the pattern. He doesn't get flattered because he doesn't need it. He doesn't chase because he wasn't impressed in the first place. That self-containment makes him immune to the emotional roller coaster the narcissist relies on to keep control. This isn't about being cold or heartless. It's about being aware. A sigma doesn't let someone else define his worth, which means he doesn't rise or fall based on anyone's approval or rejection. That kind of detachment is lethal to a narcissist because it removes their power entirely. When their attention, silence, and drama don't trigger a reaction, they lose control of the game. And worse, they lose the audience they thought they had. To the narcissist, this is infuriating. They're used to people playing tug-of-war for their validation. But the sigma never even picks up the rope. He doesn't play, so he doesn't lose. He doesn't stay, so he doesn't suffer. And the narcissist? They're left alone, performing a one-person show that no one's watching. What makes this even more frustrating for the narcissist is that the sigma doesn't even have to say anything. No argument, no dramatic exit. Just a quiet refusal to participate in the emotional manipulation. And that silence echoes louder than any confrontation ever could. It's not resistance that breaks the narcissist. It's the calm indifference of someone who refuses to be baited. And that's exactly what makes sigma males so dangerous to them. They can't be pulled into a game they've already seen through. Number 2. Narcissists can't weaponize guilt against a sigma. Guilt is the narcissist's sharpest weapon. It's how they control people without ever raising their voice. They imply you've let them down, disappointed them, hurt their feelings, even when you've done absolutely nothing wrong. Most people fall for it. They panic. They over-apologize. They start questioning themselves, replaying conversations, trying to make things right. And just like that, the narcissist has them exactly where they want them, emotionally tangled, confused, and compliant. But sigma males don't run on guilt. They run on principle. That's the difference. A sigma doesn't automatically translate someone's disapproval into some kind of moral failure. If a narcissist says, "You made me feel bad," a sigma calmly responds with, "That's your feeling to manage." No panic, no bending over backwards, no internal crisis, just truth. This isn't heartlessness, it's emotional clarity. Sigmas know that guilt, when misused, is a manipulation tool disguised as morality. It's not about right or wrong, it's about control. The narcissist uses it to twist reality, to make you responsible for their mood swings, their needs, their emptiness. But a Sigma's internal compass doesn't bend for approval, so the guilt trip just doesn't land. This creates a serious problem for the narcissist. They can't control someone who doesn't seek forgiveness for things he's not actually guilty of. They can't guilt-trip someone who sees through the performance. And they can't build emotional debt with someone who never signed up for the game. That's why interactions with a Sigma often end with the narcissist spiraling, confused, even in tears, because their usual tactics don't just fail, they backfire. And here's the kicker, the Sigma doesn't feel bad about it. Not because he lacks empathy, but because he recognizes manipulation for what it is. He's not cruel, he's just immune to emotional blackmail. So while the narcissist is used to people begging for forgiveness, the Sigma walks away. Not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to carry shame that isn't his to bear. That's what makes him dangerous. Not loudness, not confrontation, just the quiet, unshakable refusal to be emotionally controlled. Number 3, Sigmas don't offer narcissists echo chambers, only silence. Narcissists survive on reflection, constant flattering feedback that confirms their inflated self-image. They rely on others to mirror their delusions back to them. You're amazing. You're misunderstood. Everyone's jealous of you. This echo chamber isn't just comfort, it's oxygen. It props up the fantasy they live inside. But when a narcissist meets a Sigma male, something unsettling happens. There's no echo, no nodding, no automatic agreement, just a cold, uncomfortable silence that says, I see through this. That silence, it's brutal. Because to the narcissist, silence isn't neutral, it's threatening. It leaves them alone with their own thoughts, and those thoughts are unbearable without outside validation. A Sigma doesn't feed the performance. He doesn't laugh when something isn't funny, doesn't praise what he doesn't respect, and doesn't validate behavior he finds fake. He observes, quietly, and that quiet feels like judgment to someone who's used to applause. What drives the narcissist crazy is that they can't figure out where they stand with a Sigma. Most people either challenge them directly or worship them mindlessly, but a Sigma does neither. He just sits there, emotionally unbothered, watching like he's studying a glitch in the system. That resistance isn't loud or aggressive, it's passive but unmovable, and the narcissist starts spiraling, because if one person doesn't believe the illusion, maybe it's not real at all. The Sigma doesn't play devil's advocate either. He plays truth's assassin. He doesn't argue just to debate. He only speaks when something needs to be said. And when he does, it cuts deep because there's no drama, just surgical precision. But most of the time, his silence is enough. It's not a lack of opinion. It's a refusal to validate nonsense. And to a narcissist, that's devastating. Without an echo chamber, the narcissist is forced to confront the emptiness they spend their lives running from. And the Sigma male, he doesn't even have to lift a finger. His silence is the mirror narcissists dread the most, the one that reflects nothing back, no fantasy, no illusion, just reality, and they can't stand it. Number 4, they speak in substance, not seduction. Narcissists don't just listen to words. They scan for emotional cues, subtle praise, and opportunities to feel superior. They aren't looking for truth. They're fishing for flattery. They want every conversation to orbit around them, to inflate them, to confirm their fantasy. They test people constantly. Did you notice how amazing I was? Did you hear what they said about me? They bait with compliments, then wait for you to return them. It's all performance, all seduction. But Sigma males, they don't speak to impress. They speak to inform. They're wired for substance. Every sentence is built on clarity, not charm. Insight, not ego. They're not cold, they're precise. And that precision leaves no space for the narcissist's emotional fishing. There's no bait to grab onto, no flirtation, no approval hunting, just straight, direct meaning. This drives narcissists insane. They don't know how to process communication that isn't about them. When a Sigma responds to a narcissist's dramatic story with, "Interesting, but what did you actually do about it?" the narcissist freezes. That wasn't the script. They were expecting admiration, not analysis. A sigma doesn't stroke egos, he dissects behavior. If something doesn't make sense, he questions it. If something feels exaggerated, he doesn't smile and nod, he raises an eyebrow. That kind of honesty isn't hostile, but it is disarming. The narcissist feels exposed because the sigma isn't playing the emotional feedback game. There's no validation high, no stroking, just raw, unfiltered communication that hits like a bucket of cold water. And here's the twist, the sigma's way of speaking isn't aggressive. It's calm, rational, steady, which makes it even harder to counter. You can't accuse him of being emotional or unstable, he's just grounded. And that groundedness feels like quicksand to a narcissist who lives in fantasy. The more they try to pull him into emotional manipulation, the more they realize he's not playing, he never was. So the narcissist, used to twisting words and steering conversations, suddenly finds themselves standing in front of someone who sees through the fog, cuts through the nonsense, and refuses to engage in anything less than truth. And that, more than anything, is what renders their manipulation useless. Number 5. Sigmas possess solitude that narcissists mistake for supremacy. To a narcissist, attention is everything. It's not just validation, it's survival. They equate being seen with being significant. If people are watching, admiring, reacting, they feel powerful. So when they meet someone who deliberately avoids the spotlight, someone who disappears into their own space and thrives in silence, it messes with their entire worldview. Enter the sigma male, detached, observant, and deeply comfortable in solitude. Not isolated, not insecure, just completely content without external input. And that, to a narcissist, is confusing as hell, because they assume anyone who isn't constantly chasing attention must be either broken or bitter. But the sigma isn't either, he's just full. He doesn't seek external stimulation because his internal world is already rich, intense, and self-sustaining. This is where the narcissist gets it all wrong. They look at the sigma's solitude and think it's arrogance. They think he's trying to act superior. But what they're really witnessing is emotional independence, something they don't have and can't comprehend. The sigma's ability to be alone without being lonely, to disappear without losing identity, is a direct contradiction to everything a narcissist needs to believe about power. The narcissist thinks power is loud. The sigma knows power is quiet. Every moment alone is a moment of energy conservation, mental recalibration, and strategic thought. He's not hiding, he's recharging. And that solitude becomes a kind of nuclear energy source that makes him more resilient, more clear-minded, and more unshakable than anyone constantly plugged into the social matrix. This drives the narcissist mad because they can't touch it, they can't provoke it, they can't interrupt it. Their usual weapons, attention withdrawal, social shaming, dramatic guilt trips, don't work because the sigma wasn't depending on them to begin with. The more the narcissist pushes, the deeper into solitude the sigma retreats, and the stronger he gets. What the narcissist sees as emotional distance is actually emotional sovereignty. And to someone who feeds off validation like a parasite, that kind of self-contained power isn't just intimidating, it's downright alien, because it proves a brutal truth. You don't need to be seen to be strong, you just need to be whole. And that's a kind of power narcissists will never understand, let alone possess. Number 6. Sigmas. Deconstruct manipulation mechanically, not emotionally. Most people respond to narcissistic manipulation with emotion, hurt, confusion, frustration. They get caught in the web because they're reacting in real time, trying to make sense of the chaos while being emotionally dragged through it. And that's exactly what narcissists want, emotionally charged responses. It gives them leverage, control, and a script to play off of. But a sigma male approaches manipulation like a broken machine. He doesn't panic, he analyzes. He doesn't ask, why would they do this to me? He asks, what exactly are they trying to extract? There's no emotional spiraling, no reactive outbursts, just methodical observation. He studies patterns. He isolates tactics. He watches the setup like he's solving a puzzle, not living in the drama. That's what kills the narcissist's power, because everything they do is designed to spark emotional chaos. Gaslighting, triangulation, love bombing, it all depends on the other person being caught off guard and emotionally overwhelmed. But when a sigma is in the room, it's like trying to manipulate a chess player who already knows your 10-move opening. He's seen the move before you even made it. Even when the narcissist turns up the heat, crying, yelling, guilt-tripping, the Sigma doesn't bite. Not out of cruelty, but because he sees through the technique. He doesn't ask whether it's sincere, he asks whether it's strategic. That clinical lens strips the manipulation of its emotional power. It goes from being threatening to being pathetic, like watching someone perform a magic trick with the strings showing. The narcissist ends up overplaying their hand. They escalate, thinking they just need a stronger reaction to break through. But the more they escalate, the more desperate and transparent they look. Meanwhile, the Sigma is just watching, measuring, dissecting, unmoved. This mechanical mindset isn't detachment for show. It's built from a lifetime of not depending on emotional chaos to find meaning. It's not coldness, it's clarity. And to a narcissist who thrives on emotional confusion, that clarity is fatal, because you can't control someone who won't engage in your illusion. You can't destabilize someone who's already studying your pattern, and you can't win a game when the other person has already dismantled the board. Number 7. Sigma males are immune to identity hijacking. Narcissists are masters at stealing your sense of self. They don't just want to control your actions. They want to hijack your identity, rewrite your story, and make you doubt everything you thought you knew about yourself. They blur the lines between who you are and who they want you to be, leaving you confused, insecure, and dependent on their narrative to define your worth and choices. But Sigma males operate on a completely different wavelength. Their inner compass isn't just strong, it's unshakable. They know who they are at a fundamental level. So when a narcissist tries to rewrite their story or implant doubts, it doesn't stick. To a Sigma, the narcissist narrative is nothing more than cheap fiction. A story that's easy to recognize as false because it conflicts with their deeply rooted self-awareness. Sigmas don't adopt other people's definitions of who they should be. They create their own identity and live by it. That means the usual tactics narcissists use, gaslighting, blame-shifting, rewriting history, fall flat. A Sigma isn't rewriting their own script to fit someone else's agenda. They have their own script, and it's written in ink no narcissist can erase. This immunity to identity hijacking leaves narcissists powerless. Their usual weapon of control, the ability to make you question your own reality, loses its edge. Instead of uncertainty and confusion, the Sigma responds with clarity and certainty. This disconnect frustrates narcissists because it denies them the control they crave, and it exposes their manipulation for what it is, a desperate attempt to invade and dominate a mind that simply won't be invaded. In essence, Sigma males protect their core self like a fortress, impervious to the narcissist's attempts to penetrate it. This psychological sovereignty isn't arrogance, it's mastery. And that mastery is a silent, powerful rebuke that leaves narcissists frustrated, powerless, and ultimately defeated. Number 8. Sigmas operate on self-command, so external chaos fails. Narcissists thrive on chaos. They create confusion, stir drama, and manipulate emotions like puppeteers pulling strings. Their favorite playground is the emotional battlefield, where they can triangulate people against each other, spin lies, and watch the world burn, all to maintain control and keep the spotlight on themselves. They count on you reacting, getting rattled, and losing focus. But Sigma males aren't playing that game. They don't operate in the swirling chaos of emotions. Instead, they answer to an internal command system that's unshakable and clear. Their decisions, their focus, their actions come from a place of self-mastery and deliberate intention. When a narcissist throws tantrums or fabricates drama, it's background noise to a Sigma, a distraction that doesn't derail his purpose. Where others might get sucked into the emotional whirlpool, getting lost in confusion and manipulation, the Sigma stands apart, anchored by his own internal directives. He's on a mission, and no external chaos can pull him off course. Lies, manipulations, emotional explosions, they don't penetrate his resolve, they simply bounce off. This self-command makes Sigmas nearly impossible to derail. While narcissists expect to destabilize and control through chaos, they instead find someone calm, unmoved, and unwavering. That frustration intensifies their desperation, but the Sigma remains steady, focused not on reacting but on acting according to his own rules. In the end, This ability to operate from within, untouched by external storms, isn't just strength, it's a form of sovereignty. And it's exactly why narcissists fear Sigma males. They can't break what never bends, and they can't control what's already in command. Number 9. Sigma males can't be lured into emotional debt. Narcissists are experts at emotional transactions. They just never tell you it's a transaction until it's time to collect. They'll shower you with praise, attention, or temporary affection, but it always comes with an invisible invoice. Later, they'll come knocking with a passive-aggressive reminder. After everything I've done for you, the expectation that you now owe them your time, loyalty, obedience, or praise. But Sigma males don't buy into that emotional economy. They don't operate on unspoken agreements or covert guilt trips. When someone offers them kindness, flattery, or validation, they don't automatically internalize it as a debt. They analyze it. They weigh it like a transaction. Was that genuine? Was there an angle? Does this require anything from me? If it smells like manipulation, they mentally discard it. If it's genuine, they'll accept it with clarity, but still, no strings attached. This is what makes narcissists seethe, because Sigmas aren't emotionally leveraged. They won't pay with obedience just because you complimented them. They won't chase your approval just because you temporarily gave them attention, and they certainly won't dance to your tune just because you once played theirs. The Sigma operates with emotional detachment that's not cold, it's calculated. To a narcissist, this is terrifying. It means their usual strategy, front-loading fake generosity to cash in control later, falls flat. They can't guilt a Sigma into submission. They can't use a favor as a chain. The Sigma sees the trick from the start, and if they take what's offered, it's because they chose to, not because they felt they owed anyone anything in return. And when the narcissist tries to collect on the imaginary debt, the Sigma doesn't even flinch. No guilt, no panic, just a clear, unapologetic no. That immunity, that refusal to be emotionally blackmailed, breaks the narcissist's grip, because they've lost the thing they rely on most, your need to make others feel good about themselves in exchange for love, peace, or validation. A Sigma doesn't pay emotional taxes to stay in anyone's good graces, and that terrifies the narcissist, because it means their currency is worthless. Number 10. Sigmas mirror the narcissist's emptiness without feeding it. Narcissists survive by feeding off the emotional energy of others. Praise, admiration, fear, guilt. Any response that centers them keeps their ego inflated. They manipulate situations to ensure they're reflected back in a positive, powerful light. That's why they gravitate toward people who absorb their drama and feed it with emotional reactions. They need emotional mirrors, but only ones that flatter, enable, and reinforce the fantasy. Enter the Sigma male, and everything starts to unravel. Sigmas see emotional manipulation like a scientist sees a chemical reaction. They don't absorb it, they observe it. So when a narcissist starts playing their usual games, exaggerating pain, seeking attention, twisting narratives, the Sigma doesn't react. He doesn't validate. He doesn't offer emotional fuel. Instead, he reflects it all back, unfiltered, unflattering, and untouched. This turns the Sigma into a mirror the narcissist never asked for. But it's not a mirror of admiration, it's a cold, clear reflection of the narcissist's own emptiness. When a Sigma calmly repeats a narcissist's manipulative statement back to them, stripped of emotion and pretense, it's like psychological exposure therapy. The narcissist sees how hollow their words are, how desperate their tactics sound when not absorbed and reflected back with false empathy or fear. And that's terrifying, because a narcissist doesn't want to see themselves. They want to be seen as something else. The Sigma ruins that illusion. He becomes a mirror that shows reality, not fantasy. A mirror that doesn't play favorites. A mirror that doesn't flatter, doesn't lie, and doesn't care how uncomfortable the truth feels. Even worse, the Sigma remains completely unaffected. While the narcissist spirals, trying to provoke a reaction, the Sigma stays cool, focused, and unimpressed. That lack of emotional engagement breaks the cycle. No reward, no drama, no entry point, just a reflection, and the silent, devastating truth of what's really there. To the narcissist, that's not just threatening, it's suffocating, Because the Sigma isn't just refusing to play the game, he's holding up a mirror that proves it was never worth playing to begin with. Number 11. Sigmas understand power, but don't crave dominance. Narcissists crave dominance like oxygen. They need to be the center of attention, the loudest voice in the room, the one everyone answers to. It's not just about control, it's about proving they matter. Their entire self-worth is built on being seen as superior, admired, and in charge. But their version of power is performative. It's loud, theatrical, and constantly in need of validation. Sigma males, on the other hand, understand power on a deeper, more structural level. They don't chase it, they study it. They don't try to dominate people. They focus on understanding and mastering systems. Social systems, psychological systems, power dynamics, rules of engagement. These are the arenas Sigmas operate in. While narcissists are busy trying to win the crowd, Sigmas are dismantling the architecture behind the curtain. This is what terrifies narcissists. Because Sigmas aren't interested in petty one-upmanship. They don't need to prove they're better. They already know where they stand. And more importantly, they know the narcissist is playing a shallow, ego-based game. While the narcissist is fighting for control over people, the Sigma is quietly positioning himself to control outcomes. He doesn't care about being admired. He cares about understanding how the machine works and using that insight to move with precision. And the Sigma's refusal to dominate others makes him even more dangerous to a narcissist. Why? Because it means he's not emotionally invested in winning anyone. He's immune to social leverage. You can't bait him with popularity, attention, or praise. You can't drag him into power struggles because he's not trying to prove a point. He's playing a completely different game. The narcissist, stuck in a cycle of shallow domination, eventually realizes they can't provoke, outmaneuver, or outshine the Sigma. The Sigma is simply beyond the reach of that game. And that's when the narcissist starts to crack, because deep down they know they're loud, and the Sigma is effective. They know their need for validation makes them fragile, and the Sigma's self-command makes him indestructible. The Sigma doesn't crave dominance, he understands it, and that's far more dangerous. Number 12. Sigmas can outsource emotion while staying in command. Narcissists weaponize emotion. It's their favorite arena. High drama, high stakes, and pure chaos. They want to drag you into their storm, provoke reactions, confuse you with hot and cold signals, and watch you spiral. Because once you're emotionally activated, they've got leverage. You start second-guessing, explaining yourself, trying to fix things. You play defense, and they take control. But Sigma males don't fight on that battlefield. They can feel emotion, sure, but they don't let it run the operation. In fact, they treat emotion like a tool, not a master. They can observe it, acknowledge it, and even outsource it, meaning they put it in a mental holding space until it's useful, if ever. They don't suppress emotions to look tough. They compartmentalize them to stay effective. That's a different kind of power most people can't comprehend. While others are swept up in emotional tides, the Sigma remains calm, almost surgical. If a narcissist screams, guilt trips, love bombs, or stonewalls, the Sigma doesn't flinch. He registers what's happening, but doesn't give it the emotional oxygen it needs to explode. His detachment isn't cold, it's calculated, and it destroys the narcissist's playbook. Narcissists thrive when you act before thinking, but Sigmas think even while feeling. They can emotionally process without emotionally reacting. That gives them precision control over every interaction. They don't escalate. They don't retreat. They respond, strategically, not emotionally. Every move is measured. Every word is chosen. Every silence is intentional. This unshakable presence throws the narcissist into panic mode. Because for once, their tricks aren't landing. The chaos they create doesn't spread. The energy they want to control is contained. The battlefield they usually own turns into a quiet, sterile arena, where their emotional bombs don't even go off. In the end, the narcissist loses not because the Sigma fought harder, but because he refused to fight emotionally at all. The Sigma simply stood still while the narcissist unraveled. And that is the kind of power that can't be manipulated, baited, or broken. At the end of the day, The relationship between a Sigma male and a narcissist isn't a battle. It's a quiet unraveling. One person operates through illusions, needing endless applause to survive. The other moves in silence, seeing through every mask without flinching. It's not a clash of titans, it's a collapse of pretense. A narcissist walks into the room expecting to own it. They assume everyone is either a fan, a follower, or a fragile ego waiting to be controlled. But when they lock eyes with a Sigma, something feels off. There's no tension, no neediness, no energy that says, impress me or please like me. Just that unnerving stillness, that sovereign calm. And deep down, the narcissist realizes, this is someone they cannot manipulate, cannot break, and definitely cannot own. Because while narcissists are emotional vampires, Sigma males are sealed fortresses. They don't leak energy. They don't hand over emotional passwords. And they don't play parts in anyone's drama. They watch the performance, but they never join the cast. This is what makes Sigma males so terrifying to narcissists. Not because they're aggressive, not because they're arrogant, but because they operate on an entirely different frequency. One built on logic, detachment, self-awareness, and emotional autonomy. While others get tangled in the narcissist's games, the Sigma is quietly mapping the playbook, predicting the moves, and ultimately walking away before the trap can even spring shut. And here's the most brutal truth. The narcissist remembers the Sigma, long after the silence, long after the rejection, long after the failed attempts to bait, guilt, or seduce, because the Sigma left something behind that no one else did, a mirror with no reflection, proof that their illusion doesn't work on everyone, proof that their power isn't universal, proof that someone saw them without being hypnotized, and walked away untouched. In a world full of noise, narcissists are loud. But Sigmas are silence. And nothing echoes longer than silence that can't be controlled. That's not just resistance. That's psychological domination. And the narcissist never sees it coming. If this hit a nerve, good. That means you're awake. Now, if you're the kind of person who values truth over trends, substance over noise, and power over performance, you're in the right place. So do what a Sigma would do. Subscribe. Not because everyone else is, but because this is where the unfiltered truth lives. Like the video, not for approval, but because it deserves signal, not silence. Comment below. Tell me which part landed hardest or how you've seen narcissists crash into your silence. And share this with someone who's done being baited, played, or emotionally hijacked. Because when one Sigma wakes up, the illusion breaks for everyone in the room. Stay sharp, stay silent, stay sovereign. Until next time.